and it must have been about 8 feet tall at least. And it was like, remind me of a gorilla, but thin set.
12 years old. It's back in 1973. I was at Scorby School, Scarborough, and we were on a cross country at the school. There was me and another lad. We were quite good at cross country, you know. We got halfway around the cross country, which went down to Raincliffe Woods, round by the mere, and then back up through the house estate back to school. Halfway around, we decided just like, let's face out of it, and we just left the group behind us. Instead, we went through the woods. Instead of turning right, heading back to the school, we turned left and went deeper into the woods.
Heard the crackling, the rustling in the bushes and the trees and everything, loud cracks and everything. And we just thought, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
Then it just like stood up. It was like, but we didn't see the front of it. We didn't see a face or nothing. All we seen was the back of it walking away from us.
So Raincliffe Woods. Does this area have the potential to contain an 8 to 10 foot bipedal fur-covered creature? My initial thoughts are no, it doesn't. And I think anybody listening to this would probably agree. But does that mean that the people who are sharing these strange encounters, these strange sightings, are lying? No, it doesn't. Hello everybody, welcome to Truth Proof. Today we're at Scarborough, or very close, on the edge of the Forge Valley, and I've come to Raincliffe Woods. More specifically, we're parked near the mere, and just going to have a little walk and talk. I've come with Bobby, Bailey, and my daughter Sarah.
Hi.
And you know, we'll see where this is going. I've got a few stories from this area, so I'm going to share one with you shortly.
And by the time we got to Throxtonby Mere, we went inside, and there's like a footpath that goes just inside the woods.
So what could possibly happen close to the mere at Raincliffe Woods of an unexplained nature? Stay with it and you'll find out, because I'm going to take us back to 1973. And it's a really, really strange encounter, and one that I weren't expecting to hear.
And there's like a footpath that runs along the mere.
Does it does it parallel the road then, that Ian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Allegedly, there's a huge catfish in this mere, and I might talk to Chris about that. We know it's not unexplained phenomena, but it's interesting to think that somebody might have let a catfish go in this water and it's survived and become quite large. So that's fascinating in itself. So as I previously said, we're off back to 1973, so it's a long time ago. You do the math. And group of schoolboys and girls that were on a cross-country run from Scorby School. I think I've pronounced that correctly. Sarah will tell me if I've got it wrong, have I?
Scolby or Scorby, it depends how you pronounce it.
Okay. And like I say, this guy sat on this really strange story from 1973 to now. Obviously he will have told a few close friends, but other than that, never to a wider audience like it's going to get shared to now.
You know, like when I was in school and that, we both mentioned it to each other. But we didn't tell the other kids, you know.
He said that him and his friend were really, really good at cross country, better than all other kids in school. So they were way in front. The teacher was always at the back of the line, obviously checking no stragglers get lost or anything. And they ended up not miles in front, but a good distance in front. Said, and they stopped, have a breather and a cigarette. Ironic, isn't it, really? 12-year-old boys, but I'm just saying it as it is, as it were told to me. So...
And just before we seen this, you know, just in my sleeve, I had a couple of loose cigarettes in my sleeve, you know, like the...
Yeah.
And a box of matches and that, you know, and so we got them out, had a cigarette, and just as we were just like smoking it, that's when it popped up. And
I don't think they'd have the same lung capacity today after smoking all their life, but for the purpose of this story, let's keep it to how it was told. Just stopped. They said they were having a break. They said they'd walked towards a disused or an old sawmill. Presumably it's still in here somewhere. Just as a little addition to Ian's strange experience in 1973, I've come to the area where he actually saw this creature. I'm with Chris today, so there's Chris there.
Morning.
Morning. And we'll just we'll update you on this as we get a little closer to where he saw it. So where are we heading to now, Chris?
We're just going up to the old site of the what was the sawmill, which I think was still an active sawmill up until I think late 60s, early 70s.
Right, so potentially when Ian and his schoolmate saw this thing, sawmill wouldn't have been closed long.
No, I don't think so.
And this is where Chris thinks sawmill used to be. Is that right, Chris?
Yeah, this is the area where it would have been. As I say, I don't know where there doesn't seem to be any foundations that are left, but there are remnants of old machinery and such like down the bank down there that I've seen.
Right. Well, 50 years is going to cover a lot of stuff up, Chris, isn't it?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, the forest, the wood will soon cover, eat everything up, won't it?
Yeah. So if Ian's watching this, it'll probably, maybe, be a little bit familiar. And he said they ventured on a little bit deeper, but he didn't say which direction.
If they've come from
the school,
Throxtonby Mere and the school end, which would have been on our left, they'd have been heading down towards, the track down to our right. Just imagine, if this is the area, you can imagine something just down there, can't you?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I don't know what it is, to be honest with you, and I know you don't. And I think people that say they do, they're a bit deluded, because whatever it is, I think he's seen it, because he's not on his own, is he? There's that many other people seeing these things.
Yeah. I mean, I think at best all we can kind of say is that we have a slight educated guess at what we're dealing with, and that's only through the knowledge that we've gleaned over the years.
Look at this mist. Looks good, doesn't it?
It's a murky morning.
And while they've stopped and having this cigarette, they became aware of movement, of rustling in the undergrowth in front of them. And we're talking a considerable distance, but not half a mile or quarter of a mile, yards and yards in front of them. And much to their amazement, these two young boys said that they saw an animal, a creature, stand up on two legs, upright.
That's eventually came to that sawmill.
Yeah.
We carried on for another half a mile. We want to get back for lunch when we heard sort of like cracking and rustling in the trees.
Yeah.
And he sort of like came up, sort of like heard the crackling, the rustling in the bushes and the trees and everything, loud cracks and everything. And we just thought, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
Then it just like stood up.
Literally huge, 8 to 10 feet tall. Now, I'll give my head a shake. Can you really believe that? Look at where we are, Sarah. Nothing like that should exist, should it?
No, it shouldn't, no.
And we're not saying it does, we're just passing on a story. Interestingly, when the young boys saw the strange upright creature, slightly stooped forward, they initially thought that it was a gorilla. That were their exact thoughts, that they were looking at a gorilla, literally walking off into the distance.
It must have been about 8 feet tall at least.
Yeah.
Shrugged over, leant over slightly, so we didn't see the top of the head properly, and just seen the back of it. And it was like, remind me of a gorilla, but thin set.
Although I need to stress, because when we spoke on the phone, I asked him about its build, its muscular. I asked him about its build and how muscular it was. and he said it wasn't that muscular. It was tall. It wasn't thin, like a kind of rakish, but it was tall, 8 to 10 foot tall. But the only box that they could put it in, the only way that they could describe it, is it looked like a gorilla walking away from them. No sounds, nothing else. Literally probably 5 to 10 second sighting of something walking away into the distance. Would you have shouted it? I don't think I would. Okay, we'll pick this up shortly. 8 to 10 feet tall, covered in very, very dark brown fur. Shaggy fur, which he described as being quite rough and matted. It didn't look at them. It stood up with its back to them and started to walk away into the distance. Arms swinging, typical Bigfoot fashion, if you like, from the description. He also said that the arms were very long, came down past or very close to its knees, which is unusual, and it was stooped slightly forward. A bit like me here walking up this path, because this makes me puff and blow a bit. So it's not really taken us that long to sort of describe and talk about what was seen, what was experienced back in 1973. But I caught up with this man after the emails and had a lengthy telephone conversation with him.
All seen was the back of it. Didn't see the front, just the back of it. And it was about 8 foot tall. And it was all like dark brown to black fur on its back and everything. And it wasn't like, I always say similar to a gorilla, but not as broad. It was like hunched forward a little bit and walking away from us. I looked at my mate and the colour just went from his face.
I'll bet it did.
And I said, come on, let's go. So anyway, we started running off. I got about 50 yards. I looked back, see if it was following. No sight of it.
I do intend meeting up, so we might even be doing this again with the actual first-hand witness. And there's nothing better than that, as you know. But I picked up a few things from the conversation that I didn't get from the initial emails. And he said it had ears that were pointed, 2 small pointed ears on the top of its head.
He said it had little ears, pointed ears, didn't
Yeah, you could see when it's like stood up, you could see little on the top of the head here.
Now I'm not sure with Bigfoot accounts, cryptid type accounts, that conforms to the description of what people would call Sasquatch or Bigfoot. We're in UK, it shouldn't fit anyway. It's well beyond the realms of anything normal. But obviously he never saw the face, he doesn't know whether there were a muzzle, he's got no idea whatsoever. But he definitely said that he could see 2 pointed ears.
And you said it had 2, maybe the ears were bigger but it were tipped forward, but they were pointy.
Yeah. But just when it first just stood up, just a glimpse. And then, like when it's lunged over. Remember the arms, the long and dangly arms?
Yeah.
He also said it was slightly stooped forward. So imagine if it stood upright, you might get a little bit more of a view and the ears might have been bigger. But what do you think, guys? Is this a true, unexplained creature that's been seen in the woods by 2 12-year-old boys back in 1973? You decide. But this is Raincliffe Woods and we're on the edge of the Forge Valley, which is literally miles from where we made our documentary Wolfland. And as everybody knows, that's got lots of reports of, what is it? Strange, unusual creatures seen in and around the forests of North Yorkshire. So I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility that what this man saw is not the genuine bona fide thing. So Raincliffe Woods. Does this area have the potential to contain an 8 to 10 foot bipedal fur-covered creature? My initial thoughts are no, it doesn't. And I think anybody listening to this would probably agree. But does that mean that the people who are sharing these strange encounters, these strange sightings, are lying? No, it doesn't. And I've got to respect the witnesses who've sat on things in some instances decades and decades, never sharing what they've seen and experienced.
So we just ran, we didn't look back. So we carried on, let's go for it. When we got back to the sports hall at Scorby School, we told the sports teacher, I can't remember his name, it's that long ago, and he disappeared, and we both went to see the headmaster, and we both ended up getting the cane.
Well, that do you think just because they didn't believe you, or because you'd broke away?
Either one or the other. It never said really. Mr. Howard was the headmaster
Right.
at Scorby School, and he says, I remember him saying, never heard anything so ridiculous.
And, in a way, you got punished for telling truth. It kind of figures why once you start not talking about it after that, it carries on, doesn't it?
In school and that, we both mentioned it to each other, but we didn't tell the other kids, I
have to respect those people's opinions, those people's sightings, because they've clearly seen something. You don't wait all this time to share an account just for some kind of publicity, because in the grand scheme of things, it's a YouTube channel. They're not going to, if they wanted a bit more publicity, they'd go to the newspapers. They've not done that. What they've done is found truth proof due to what happened in their childhood. And I'm saying that widely, I'm saying that broadly to people. Due to what's happened in a person's childhood, they've found sites like truth proof. And really, they've come to a safe place. Somewhere they can share their encounters without the fear of ridicule. We know that in the chat, in the comments, some people might think it's a joke. And if you do, then fine, you've come to the wrong place. You don't have to agree, and if you don't agree, you won't get shot down in flames. However, if you're disrespectful, you get removed. So we'll move on, and you can see that we're in some kind of, it's almost like a basin leading down to the mere. But let's just jump back decades and decades to 1973 and imagine the look on those schoolboys' faces when this thing stood up and started to walk away into the distance. It don't even bear thinking about.
Yeah. Well, I think we were both in shock. We never heard any grunts or groans or nothing like that. Everything was just silent, and we both looked at each other, and I noticed, I can never forget his face. It just like the colour just went from his face.
Would you have been frightened? I think I would. But it never turned, it never looked at them, it just walked into the distance, and probably it was as surprised as they were, because don't forget, these are two young lads that have gone charging into woods, good at cross country. It's probably not expecting somebody to suddenly appear in the woodland, and that's probably why they managed to see it the way that they did. So based on his description, we know that this young boy and his friend have seen something highly unusual. And I wonder, I have already said that I don't think these things are here. I think there's a very definite paranormal nature to these things. How it works, I don't know. I don't know the mechanics of these things, but if we look to strange places all over the world, Skinwalker Ranch, Hoia Baku Forest in Romania, these things are getting reported. So if we play with the idea that they're actually here, which I think they are, I wonder if this creature that he saw in 1973 is somehow transient, and it's potentially the same thing that the guys in Broxer Forest saw in 2018. Could be, couldn't it? And it's a frightening prospect, but I think what we've got to carry away from us from these sightings, from these reports, is the fact that nobody's getting injured. These beings, these creatures seem more interested in observing us, or as interested in observing us when they actually appear as what we are in looking at them. And in most instances, they're on the toes and they're away. I think it's only when you take these things by surprise that you're lucky enough, or other words, unlucky enough, to see these things. I don't know. So, there you have it, the cryptid encounter from 1973. What do they call it, Sarah?
Throxtonby Mere.
I only asked her because I couldn't say it. And are these things still here? Potentially, I think they are. If not transient and just visiting us from time to time. I'm not going to say portals or strange doorways because I haven't a clue what the mechanics of these things are. But they're definitely here. And we'll just make our way back to the car. And as we do, we'll just walk along the side of this mere. Your dog's good, isn't he, Sarah? And obviously, he's not as well trained as Bobby, but, you know, Bailey does try, but you have to keep your eye on him. He's not like the Bobster, who's obviously is exemplary in his approach to training and everything. Look, that's why he's got lead on, and Bailey hasn't, because Bobby, basically, I'm joking, won't do as he's told. So, and if you look there, and I don't know whether we're going to see it, I'll probably zoom in, but it'll pixelate. There's a cormorant there, so there must be some good fishing in here. So I'm going to leave it at that from myself and Sarah. I don't think Sarah really wanted to be on this, but you know, she's not an advocate of the Bigfoot or cryptid phenomena. I'll speak for Sarah there, but she's out with me having a walk this morning, so rather than just give a few glimpses of a Sarah walking, thought I'd introduce her.